still May 28th. I took a little nap because I went to bed really late, but I took a nap the early part of the afternoon, and I had a short dream, but what stood out was the last scene when I was waking up. I hadn't had one of those in a moment, and it felt like one of the type of image felt like those other images when I first started, where so it wasn't a dream, it was just an image. I don't know if you guys remember the first ones. The first one that I had, it was this guy that I had started connecting with, and he was coming into my seat, into my car, and I remember thinking, why are you trying to get into my car? And he seemed really comfortable just doing it, and I just remember thinking, no, like, why? Who allowed you in my space? And then when I posted the video, he actually tried to get me to do something for him, and I had already said no, and then he was still pushing it, and I'm like, you're invading. There was this feeling of like, you're invading my space, I already told you no. And then the other scene, so that was the first one I remember where I was tripped out about that. And then the other scene was the gunman. It was the day of the party, the night of the party. I was getting ready to leave, and I had taken a nap, woke up, and there was a guy who was dressed as a police officer, but I knew he wasn't. He was just pretending to be a police officer, and there was a gun, and it was pointing not at me, but to the side of me. And there was this feeling of what's going to happen next, not so much of fearing for my life, because I wasn't. It was what's going to happen next. And when that video posted, I had an incident to the side of me at home. I was staying up working late. There was an incident, a domestic violence situation at the apartment next to me, and I remember leaning and listening because I was worried about someone getting hurt. And I remember the feeling of also repeated itself, like, what's going to happen next? And then the security guard who showed up, that I called the agency, the apartment complex security, and then not realizing that it was tied to my dream. So this was one of those, it felt like that. So the image that I was left with was a ticket. I had broken an offense. There was I just remember this. I remember seeing the ticket, and it's a ticket like a police officer, you know, the long ones, and I can read upside down, for those of you who don't know. Like, I can read upside down, and so it's upside down because it's facing me, and I could see the first line, and it says offense, and then it's the code, and then it's an offense. I just remember the word offense, and then the writing, and realizing that it's a ticket. So now I'm wondering if I'm gonna get a ticket. There was no emotional, the difference with this scene versus the other two was that there was no emotional, like, shock or worry. It was like, I see it, and there is this acceptance of, like, okay, like, it was really interesting, because I don't, yeah, it was there wasn't an you know, like, I've had dreams where I'm like, oh, I didn't like that feeling, and this was very just, there it is, like just, I see it, and there's this awareness, like, okay, I can see, like, there was this awareness of, like, I can see why I would get an offense. And even when I woke up, I was like, am I getting a ticket? And then the first thing that came to mind was speeding, and then I started thinking about all the times I got a ticket. So So one time, band camp, no, my first ticket was a parking ticket. Sweeper. Had a few of those, so I wasn't too worried about that. The other ticket was I didn't realize I passed a red light, like a red, I wasn't speeding. There was a bus. I was behind the bus to a certain degree. The bus was crossing, and apparently because I thought I was closer. I remember being close enough, but the view, there's enough of a distance that supposedly I could see the red light. But the thing was, it wasn't red when the bus was going through, like when I was closer. The bus was moving, and then through the moving, because buses drive slow, it changed colors, and it was like it must have gotten to red, but I didn't realize that it was red until after I had already crossed the street. And then it moved on. I was like, oh, it's red. But I remember I was like, I didn't cross a red, but I didn't think I crossed it. That's the thing. Like, I didn't see it. Yeah, I didn't see it. The awareness came after the fact when they showed me the picture. It was one of those cross streets where they take a picture of you, and I'm really serious and I'm like this. So I knew it, like I was focused on something. So I got a ticket. Not knowing, got a ticket. The other time I got pulled over, I was speeding. I was speeding in the high desert. But the thing is, those streets, they can run 60 miles an hour, which is like a freeway, because it's out in the desert. There's I think I must have been going like 65, like 5 over. And I really wasn't paying attention because I was wanting to get home. I was working late that day. I wanted to get home, and I lived down the hill up in the high desert. And the thing was that the one freeway, the 15 that connected everyone from up the hill to down the hill, the freeway was under construction. And so a lot of people had to take the side road, and that was a mess. So I was trying to get home. I got pulled over, and I was accepting, like I was totally owning it. I'm like, yeah, okay. Like and he pulled me over. Do you know what you did? I said, I think I was speeding is what I said. Because I think I was like so in it of just wanting to get home. So I was honest. I was like, I think I'm speeding. And I still had my badge on. He's like, where are you coming from? Because it was already later in the evening. And I was just like, I stayed working late, and then he saw where I worked. He's like, that's where you work. And that particular agency in that community is very well known at that time. We had a good reputation. And because of the involvement that we had in the community. And he looked in, and I was getting ready, like, just bring it, right? He lets me go. And then he's just like, you guys do good work. And I was like, thank you. And he's just like, just be mindful, be more safe. I said, yes, officer, thank you. And I got let go. Which is funny because the video it's going to post, I don't know if it posted, I haven't even checked. The video that was going to post, or that, I know I talk about the first time I ever got pulled over by a police officer. It was a few nights ago. Yeah, that's 26. Where I was coming home from game night, and I was pulled over for the first time, and I was freaking out about that one because it was the first time. And then the police officer, I already knew. I was like, he's gonna try to get my number or something. That's interesting. So I've never really formally gotten a ticket by the police, like the actual long one. Like the first one was, I got it in the mail. Because it was like the photograph, and it includes the photograph. But this one was an actual, like, the long police officer one, and I could read the top part, and it said offense. The little box was checked off. There was a box that checked off and said offense, and then there was the code, and then there was other writing. But I just remember being shocked, like, because I saw it, and then as soon as I saw it, I opened my eyes. So I don't know. It's 5:25. We'll see if this posts and that happens. The other thought that came to mind was like, well, will it post when I actually will it happen when I actually post, or is it like warning me of in the next few days, because I'll be driving, you know, not that I'm a speed driver or anything. I mean, I like my speed, but I'm careful. I'm very careful. So we'll see. Just wanted to record that because I haven't really had a lot of dreams because I've been staying up late to do work. I haven't felt rested. This was the first time in a while that I get an image like just as quick as I get it. That's how quick it leaves me. So we'll see. Okay. Hi. My name is Yubi, and in case you haven't figured it out, this footage is capturing my experience as I learn to navigate my personal spiritual awakening. I am learning that this experience is unique to each one of us, in whatever way we believe we are embracing living our truth. This just happens to be my journey. And despite me having a graduate degree and a license in clinical social work, this by no means is intended to replace any type of mental health advice. This is just me on a personal level, documenting my experience, shedding light on the truth that I am learning and discovering for myself, and really inviting you along for the ride. If by some magical chance you find this content to be helpful in any way, shape, or form, please click the like button, share the message, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have an Instagram account, a personal one, and one specifically for this channel that you're more than welcome to check out. I'm an open book. I have also created t-shirt designs. I'm wearing my favorite one right now, which is the North Node design, but I have that and other things that you can look at inspired by this process and journey, and I have the link in the description box as well as in the about section of my YouTube channel. So you're more than welcome to check those items out. Any type of support is great. Again, if you find this content really helpful or meaningful, sometimes when we take that step and be vulnerable, with showing what's inside our hearts and what's really our truth, and we realize that we're much more connected than what we thought we were. And so I hope that as I'm living this experience and that you find some type of truth for yourself, or find some type of ability to heal in some way just by relating, just by knowing that you're not alone. That really has been my goal with this process, not just being able to connect with others, but really for my own healing. It's definitely been a therapeutic experience and a very creative one for myself. So I thank you, and I wish you all the best, and we'll see what else comes next for me.